I I've heard the question again. I think Strickland may have asked it this time. Sean Strickland at Bozo. People ask these questions. It's always a white guy asking this. You always notice. There's black pride, but why is white pride bad? And I would like to, if you. I'm so sick of trying to explain this. I'm so sick of it. And you'll say it and they'll stare at you and then ask you again. But whatever, here it is. It's about genealogy, knowing your history, knowing your family history, and this and that. Certain, for various reasons, and there could be more than one reason, but for various reasons, some people don't have as well documented of a family history. Like I can figure out what I am. And that's even leaving the DNA thing aside because I think that kind of negates a whole lot of it. It's a little stupid. It's too fine-tuned and it doesn't make sense. It more takes your identity than reveals what it is. But the issue is when you don't have documentation about where you're from, you kind of just have to be general about it. Now, I know a lot of the races that I am. It's mostly Scotch-Irish. And guess what? There's Irish festivals. There's Scottish festivals. I'm sure there's probably England and English and German. All these different things. And so I can attend them. And the funny thing is, you can be different races and be Irish. Your history might not go back just as far in it, but it might not if you're white also. So you can have like black people, like Seal, for example, is English, right? Now I don't know how far his history goes back, but he could go to an English Pride festival. It doesn't exclude him. You could be all different races and colors, and everything else, and attend these, but you couldn't with a white Pride one, could you? Now it just becomes where you've grouped all those together who don't need to be grouped together. You don't have to do that. You can do the individual ones. And it becomes more exclusionary. It's not about who it includes, it's about who it excludes. Now you might argue, well, what about a black pride one? Well, why do they do that? Well, generally speaking, the reason why something like that exists in the first place is because their history has been kind of wiped out. And a lot of them are here for the same reason. They're from the same continent, and their history started here for the same reason. Now, if they could trace, if it was more documented, then you might have Congolese and Nigerian and Somalian, all these different individual ones, just like you have individual countries out of Europe. But when you can't track that down, you kind of just have to group it together, don't you? I mean, honestly, you could have, in theory, I don't think anything like this exists, but in theory, if you had a giant amount of Americans, whatever, just the melting pot that America is, move to another country, let's say Australia, then in some years, you might have an American Pride Festival that would include all those people, all of that melting pot. That would make sense. You kind of group them together because it has become a melting pot now. So you could make it an African Pride Festival. I guess you could do that and get more, but that's like saying a European Pride Festival. It's so vague. So I don't know why people don't understand this. The white pride one, you kind of have to generalize with the black pride one, and they've faced a lot of the same hardships, whereas with the various white people have not faced the same thing. Like if you have a supposedly white pride, and you got English in there with the Irish and Scottish, the English is to blame for some of the difficulties that the Irish and Scottish had. You know, if you throw Italians in there, well, Italians and Irish fought a whole lot here. So it gets to be kind of strange that you would group them together. That doesn't really make any kind of sense. You know, Be like having a weird, like a German and Jewish festival and mix that together. That'd be kind of odd to put that together. But, you know, it's about it's exclusionary. Like you could have like a Native American Pride Festival, and you'd have I'm sure you'd have plenty of people who looked about like me saying, "Well, my great grandmother was a Cherokee princess." But here's the thing: a lot of people have got some Native American in them, and you could attend, and there'd be black people in there, and there'd be white people in there, Hispanic people. You'd have all this variety in there. Just like with Irish Pride, you could definitely have some variety in there. You know, there was a black woman I went to work with years ago, and she had an Irish heritage also. Seemed to be relatively proud of it. She could show up at an Irish Pride Festival. Why wouldn't she? Her last name was Irish, so why wouldn't she? It's just when you do white pride, it's exclusionary, and black pride isn't by its nature being exclusionary. It's including all the black people. And the reason why it's like that is because of history in the United States. You wouldn't need a black pride festival in different African countries, would you? It's about how the sort of black experience here that sort of brought them together. And then again, like I said, you can't track the history as well. And I don't know if it's just that heritage didn't track it as well, or I know a large degree of it is because of what American society did to their history. I did my own genealogy on a lot of stuff, and I would stumble across every now and then a black person, and it wiped out their history. I could trace mine. I could trace such and such. I mean, Irish people haven't always been treated very well. But I could trace mine all the way back to Ireland. I could trace this one back to Scotland. I could trace that one back to England even. And you run across like a black person, and it's like no history. Like nothing existed before then. Can't find anything about the parents. Nothing. So how are you going to have, a specific thing like that? You can't. Now, hopefully this will explain all of it. It probably won't, because I've explained it till I am blue in the face, and there's no Blue People Festival. But there it is.